You know, I never thought my life would turn into one of those stories you hear about on the news, the kind where a simple neighborhood dispute blows up into something that shakes an entire town to its core. It started that rainy night in Oak Ridge Estates, this picture-perfect suburb with its manicured lawns and gated entrances, hiding a rotten underbelly of old grudges and power plays. Avery Thompson, a 42-year-old single mom just trying to give my boy Tyler a stable home after his dad passed, pulled over on that deserted stretch of Maple Lane, blue lights flashing in my rearview like some bad omen, and before I knew it, my face was smashed against the hood of my car, tasting gravel and blood, while Deputy Mitch Collier waved a baggie of white powder he'd found like it was his big lottery win. "Look at this, Harlan," Mitch sneered to Sheriff Harlan Brooks, who leaned in close, his breath hot and smug against my ear. Another troublemaker thinking she can stir the pot without consequences. And me? I just stared back, heart pounding but voice steady. "You planted that. And you know though many others have you framed to keep your little kingdom intact?" They laughed, rough and mocking, cuffing me tight enough to bruise, parading me in front of a gathering crowd of neighbors peeking from their porches, phones out, capturing every humiliating second. Oak Ridge wasn't just any neighborhood. It was built on the ruins of an old mill town, where folks like Victor Hargrove, the HOA president, a burly ex-cop with a chip on his shoulder about preserving property values, pulled strings to keep out anyone who didn't fit their white picket fence ideal. My crime? Showing up at the HOA meeting earlier that week, coat dripping from the storm, boots tracking mud across their pristine floor, and calling out their new rules. No visitors after dusk, random vehicle checks, patrols that always seemed to hover around the few black families like mine on the east side. Victor had sat there, jaw clenched, flanked by his cronies Mrs. Karen Ellis with her fake sympathetic smile, and old Bob Travers, who muttered about maintaining standards like it was 1950 all over again. "We're just keeping things safe, Avery," Victor drawled, eyes narrowing when I shot back. "Safe for who? Your golf buddies, or folks like me whose grandparents worked those mills you paved over?" These rules hit hardest on streets like mine, my neighbor Evelyn's mailbox always getting vandalized come Juneteenth. The room went dead quiet, tension thick as fog, and Victor leaned forward, voice low and threatening. "If you can't play by the rules, there's always the highway out. Nobody's forcing you to stay." But I stood my ground, staring him down. "You don't get to run me off land my family helped build. This isn't about order, it's about control, and I'm done bending." That night in the cell, cold and stinking of bleach, Sheriff Brooks sauntered up to the bars, keys jingling like a taunt. "Sign this confession. Avery, admit the drugs were yours, pack up, and leave quietly. Think of your boy. Wouldn't want him seeing his mom rot in here." His words hit like a gut punch, stirring up memories of my dad, who fought similar battles back in the day, losing his job over complaints that smelled an awful lot like Hargrove's handiwork. But fear turned to fire inside. May whispered back, fierce and unbreaking. "You threaten my family one more time, Harlan, and I'll make sure every ghost you've buried comes screaming back." A nervous deputy slipped me a note later. "They're watching, get proof." And proof? That's when things flipped. I got out on a technicality, thanks to some quick legal maneuvering, but my apartment was trash drawers dumped, pictures shattered like they were hunting for something my dad might have left behind. Turns out, he had, hidden in his old pocket watch, a stash of documents, faded photos, notes linking the HOA's land grabs to police shakedowns, all tied to Hargrove's obsession with redeveloping our side of town for his investor pals, erasing families like mine to flip properties for profit. It wasn't just racism, it was greed wrapped in tradition, old mill money clashing with newcomers demanding equality. I reached out to Lena Vargas, a scrappy local reporter who'd been sniffing around similar stories, and Derek Simmons, an HOA insider scared spitless after seeing what they did to me. I fed them info to save my skin. Derek confessed over coffee, hands shaking. "But after that rock through your window, nearly hitting Tyler, I'm done. Let's turn the tables." We wired my place with cameras, fed Hargrove fake leads through Derek like I was hiding evidence at a bogus address, and watched as Brooks and Collier showed up, fumbling in the dark, their desperation caught on tape. Lena dug deeper, pulling security footage with help from Jordan Hale, our tech whiz kid, showing Collier planting the drugs clear as day, his smirk fading when he realized a neighbor's cam had eyes on him. "Gotcha, you slimy bastard," I muttered watching the replay, heart racing with that mix of rage and relief. We escalated anonymous, threats piled up, cruisers idling outside my door, fines for lawn violations that were code for harassment, but each one fueled us. Evelyn Hayes, my elderly neighbor who'd lost her husband to a routine stop, gone wrong years back, stepped up. "I've kept quiet too long." Avery, "They took everything from me, time we take it back." Her stories added layers, showing this wasn't new. It was a pattern, generations of families driven out over trumped-up charges, all to consolidate power and land. The turning point hit like lightning. We looped in FBI agent Riley Kane, a no-nonsense type who'd seen too many towns like ours. "This is systemic," he said, poring over our files. "Not just bad apples, it's the whole damn orchard." Raids followed, offices seized, confessions cracking from scared board members like Connie and Harold, spilling about kickbacks and planted evidence to protect their community values. Hargrove broke in interrogation, blustering at first, "It's about tradition," but crumbling when faced with the watch's docs, his voice turning whiny. "We just wanted to keep things profitable." "Brooks?" He glared daggers. "You'll regret this, Thompson." But his threats rang hollow as cuffs clicked shut. The trial was electric, packed courtroom buzzing. Me on the stand locking eyes with Hargrove. "You didn't just frame Mayo, stole futures, broke families. All for your ego and wallet. But look around. Victory, our kingdom's crumbling." Guilty verdicts rolled in, one after another, the crowd erupting in sobs and cheers as Brooks and Hargrove were hauled off, faces pale, empires in ruins. Oak Ridge breathed freer that day, but as I stood on those courthouse steps, sun warming my skin, watching Tyler hug Evelyn, I knew it wasn't over. Justice isn't a finish line. It's a road we pave daily. And that's the thing. Did we go too far, exposing every dirty secret, or not far enough? Was it revenge disguised as justice, or the only way to heal? What do you think? Have you seen this in your own backyard? HOA bullies or cops playing favorites? Drop a comment, share your story. Let's talk about what real community looks like, because if we don't, the shadows creep back. Hit like if this hit home, subscribe for more real talk tales, and remember, one voice can start the avalanche.